Well, I'm not here to. I don't want to talk about it, but that's why they pay us the big bucks, Adam Luckett. So we're here to talk about it. I'm Nick Roush. That's Adam Luckett. We are clearly in the press deck here at Ben Hill-Griffin Stadium, and we just watched Kentucky get their ass kicked. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I don't really know any other way to put it. I just would like to say that sucked, and it's going to suck moving forward too, because everything that's been bad is still bad, and it continues to be bad. And the thing that made this game so weird tonight, Kentucky only scored 20 points. They only scored 2 offensive touchdowns. We've come to expect that. It was the defense getting gashed, and in the manner of which that they got gashed, that was just so confusing, demoralizing. I mean, we could talk about DJ Lagway's passing numbers, but Florida just ran the damn ball right down their throats. We hadn't seen anything like that all year. Kentucky had given up 4 rushing touchdowns in 6 games, and Jane Baugh, a true freshman, got 5 tonight. It was Trey Burton. Our boy Trey Burton came up again today. Second time this week. It happened. It happened again.
I think if you signed up for the game, you said, all right, Kentucky gets 2 offensive touchdowns, Barry and Brown kick return touchdown, 20 points, they tie the middle 8. I would have thought they won the football game.
Yeah.
And that was a huge surprise. The defense just got shredded, but then again, the offensively, they can't finish drives. Can't create explosive plays. They had 2 explosive plays after halftime. They had a 15-play drive, could not even get to the red zone before turnover downs because they can't get any explosive plays. So
they had to call a flea flicker just to get an explosive play.
That eliminates any room for error. Really, and it's hard to play offense like that. I think there's some fair personnel questions. Like, you get to pick the interception by Christian Story, get it all the way back to the Florida 11. You're down 13-6 in the middle of the second quarter.
You got this big 230-pound SOB from Ohio State. You paid some meal money to. You finally got him back, and you don't put him in the game down
so
there.
I
don't understand it.
It's fair to, I think, kind of carnage in general was a mess. The sneak, they couldn't get, short yardage was just a mess.
And then they had the 1 4th down play action pass to Caddis, wide open, 21-yard gain. It's like, maybe you should have used that when you were right on the edge of the end zone. I did ask Mark Stoops after the game. It was like, was the play for Demi to jump in the end zone? And he said, we give the ball to him, and it's his choice. So it was not a good choice. It was a bad choice. It never stood a chance. And that's 2 weeks in a row where you've got the ball inside the 5-yard line. 5-yard line. Five. You're inside the 5-yard line. You got 0 points twice. Like, that's just not. Mark Stoops mentioned afterwards. It's like, Bush got dealt a bad hand, right? Like, these offensive issues. These are long-term problems. But I don't care how many offense coordinators, how many quarterbacks. Like, you're inside the 5. Score. Like, any points, not 0. They've done it twice in a row. And I know that this game ultimately got out of hand, but you had a chance. You got the pick that you were waiting for. DJ Lagway made that mistake, and you had a chance to tie the ball game. And once again, the big chance, the big momentum swing, you let it off the hook.
And the defense is not out of this from doing their part in the loss, but that was starting an avalanche. That turnover on downs. It really started an avalanche that Kentucky didn't cut off the bleeding until the Barry and Brown kickoff return. And so it really kind of changed the game, I think. It's 13-6. You're going to tie the game, and then, if you can get a stop, you're going to be in halftime getting the ball back, potentially tied at 13. It just really changed the game. And again, Nick, we talked about this. First off, that was the best offensive line they've played since Georgia. And second game in a row was where Kentucky's defensive line, I didn't think clearly won the trench battle. I think they lost it tonight, where they kind of held serve last week against Vandy. They lost the trench battle, and when this team was playing at their best, they were winning at the point of attack. So that's concerning on defense. But this was a huge 3-game window, just huge, and that's what you got in the first of a big, huge 3-game stretch. And now the bowl game streak's in serious jeopardy, and you are, since the Citrus Bowl win against top 10 Iowa, you are 17-16 overall. you are, I don't have the number in front of my head, but you're like 6-14-ish against power conference teams, something not good. And Nick, Kentucky built this whole kind of Stoops run that we saw, really, I would say from 16 to 21 on beating South Carolina, beating Florida finally, beating Vanderbilt, beating Missouri.
And Louisville, yeah.
And then I did throw Louisville in this, but yeah. But against just your SEC, your true SEC peers, I would say. Yeah. The teams you're playing yearly, they are now, I believe, 4-7 against those teams, and they've lost the most recent meeting against all of them. Yeah. You lost South Carolina, Vandy, and Florida now this year, and you lost to Missouri last year. And so, like, Billy Napier kind of had a moment tonight. It was DJ Lagway's coming out party against you. Yeah. Beamer's had a couple moments against you, right? His first big road win. Clark Lee's now had 2 big moments. His first road win and then the backup, proving that Alabama win wasn't a fluke. These keep happening. And so there's a lot of, I think, what's going on with this team? Like, what are the problems? There's like current problems, but there's also, I think, fair, like, big picture. Yeah. What's going on with this football program? It feels, it feels like you're losing ground, and it feels like the team, or the program, is regressing.
And it's, you look around and you say, well, they got some guys, like, they should be better than this. And that's the part where, sometimes, like, I'm happy to, take some bullets, fall on some grenades, if you will. KSR, they lied to us. They told us this was going to be a good football team. And you know what? Fine. I get fired up. I get excited. I start dreaming big dreams. Like, you had what if Kentucky, they get off to a fast start, they go 10-2. Like, the thing is when you look at this team on paper, they just should be better. And I know that there are some shortcomings, but, like, I mean, the interception that gave Florida a 27-6 lead, the ball bounced right off Barry and Brown's hands at the 50-yard line. Like, they've been dying to have explosive plays, and you had it in your hands. And that's the part that I feel like they're just, every time you think they're, like, close to starting to do something right, like, they really screw the pooch. I don't know what that meant, if there's a mental block there that they just can't seem to get over, that sort of hurdle. But, like, now, I mean, the mental blocks, they're only going to get higher. Those obstacles are only going to get greater. It's only going to be more difficult to get out of your own way. And you mentioned that 3-game window. You have to beat Auburn. You're playing a team that can't get out of their own way too. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you trust them to do anything? Like, we're going to be, I know you're out there watching and you're in a very bad spot right now. Don't worry. We are too. I know they are too. I don't know what's next. I just know it don't look good. Like, that is clear. It is bad, and it is hard. I mean, it's hard to envision what the move forward is because they just keep getting in their own way. Like, it just, it's so
I think,
bad.
You were there. I want to hear your thoughts on this thing, but I think it's very important. Like, we get to see these guys' first reaction. And, like, we've told the Snoop story after South Carolina, but for you, like, what was it like seeing their, like, real emotions after that performance in the press room?
It looked like, or at least it felt like Barry had probably been in tears previously. Like, right before he walked in, he was a little choked up. Stoops just looked drained and deflated. I think Bush is just, like, when you have, like, that feeling in the back of your neck where you're just getting ready to snap. I know parents out there know this feeling when you're just like, just do the thing that I want you to do. Like, I felt like that's where Bush was, where it's like, I have this right here, and no, he's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And, like, I'm not coming out here to swing the sword in defense of Bush Hampton. That would be a dumb sword to dial in. But, like, I could feel guys, like, can we just do something right? I mean, the flea flicker, that was something right. That worked. Yeah. It was a good call. That 4th and short call was a good call. But, like, I don't know. We at least didn't get the Mark Stoops. I don't know, like, how this happened. But Alex Afari said, we talked all week about limiting explosive plays. They're going to try to hit the explosive plays. That's what DJ Lagway does. And what did he do? Yeah. 5 out of his 7 passes went for 40-plus yards. He only completed 7 passes, 35 yards per completion. That's not something that's supposed to happen. Like it's physical. How?
Especially that's what Kentucky has been based off, taking away
that is their entire foundation. The core of Mark Stoops' defense is limiting big plays. And what do? Just big play, big play, big play. You get a big play. You and you and you and you and you.
Well, I think another worry is like you wanted the South Carolina game to be like the clunker, the anomaly.
And now you got 2.
Well, now it's seeming like the Ole Miss game was
the anomaly. Yeah.
You know, because you've played 3 teams literally that you are either like it's a 50-50 game, or you're a little bit better, or maybe they're a little bit better. But you were a betting favorite in 3 of them. Now that's not everything, but at least going into the game, the consensus was that Kentucky was a better football team than South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Florida.
You lost them all.
And you lost them all. And you lost 2 of them and got routed. And the other one, you really were. It felt like you were down big, pretty much the entire second half.
Because I don't know
how Vandy plays.
Fans were very irritated at the time of that the play at the goal line that was ruled a touchdown. You didn't get a good camera angle because we had like the D team for the SEC network here, and there just wasn't a lot of camera angles. We got one from the back of the end zone that I think showed him stretching the ball out. And as you said too, the guy on the line, he had the best view of us all. I think he got in, but you had it as a 1-score game in the third quarter, and Kentucky didn't score again. They gave up 28 unanswered.
Right after, defense let them down there, but right after that was the 15-play drive that didn't have an explosive play. You know, so the offense moved it again. Nick, they created scoring opportunities today. They just can't finish drives.
No,
there's weirdly, there's a lot of similarities between 2022 team with this team kind of playing out to me. This offense is more efficient, where that offense wasn't efficient at all, but they can kind of create explosives. It's the opposite here, but it's the same problems. You cannot, you create these scoring opportunities, but you cannot finish drives, and that these close games can turn into blowouts because of it. And it's just currently they're in some rough waters. But big picture, they're in some really rough waters, or just the signs are just becoming glaring, or the data points is just not good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot not good going on with the program. And how do you flip it, or how do you turn it? That's, to me, my biggest concern. Like, how do you flip this season? Well, where do you find the answers? Because they're not clear. And then where do you find the answers, big picture? How are you going to flip this?
Yeah, no,
it's hard to find.
I mean, you just gave your guys a bunch of contract extensions. All your assistants. It's cleaning house is the last thing this offense staff needs. Like, that's the problem, is too much turnover. But you're about to have a bunch of turnover defensively. It's just like you said. I don't know where you go. Mark Stoops gets paid $9 million to figure it out.
Yeah, they're in the danger zone. They're very much in the danger zone, both this season and, I think, big picture.
And he didn't say it tonight, but how many times have you heard Mark Stoops just be kind of dumbfounded after the game? Like, he didn't know where that performance was coming from. And particularly defensively, we become accustomed to seeing this from the offense, but defensively, that was shocking, right? That was completely shocking. I'm at a loss. I really am at a loss. Like, it's tough to figure out. It's tough to figure out what happens next. And we're not naive. We're not going to get our torches and pitchforks out, but there's plenty of them that are out, and there's plenty of people that are just checking and seeing what John Summerall is doing every day. And that's just going to make things even more uncomfortable. It's going to be a long week going into this Auburn game. And who knows what the hell could happen. But to your point from earlier, though, if your season was going to be defined by this 3-game window, then it's going to be defined as a stinker. Because that's exactly what's happened in the last 2 games. They've completely dropped the ball, and there's a good chance they could do it again against Auburn. What was you said it after the Vanderbilt game? Just Vandy was waiting for Kentucky to make mistakes. Well, what happened tonight? Right? Like, they made all of the mistakes. Florida only made 1, and Kentucky didn't make them pay. They got 0 points off that turnover. that was your chance to seize the
Well,
moment.
that was, like Kentucky won the havoc play battle. Like you should just add them up to the havoc plays, but Florida got the turnovers. This game, a lot of it, Nick, to me, was going to be whoever won the turnover battle was going to have a significant advantage, and that's kind of how it played out. And again, big spot off the road. It felt like Florida played harder. It felt like Vanderbilt played harder last week. This is before a stretch where it felt like Kentucky probably played harder against Georgia and Ole Miss. So this team has it in there.
I just don't.
Not seeing it enough.
And I don't know how they're going to pull it out. I thought we might get to a point too there for a second where it would be like offense versus defense. Like defense is like I thought we might have some friction there because the offense wasn't doing its job, but now the defense isn't. So there's a very good chance that this snowball gets rolling down the hill.
It almost feels like they're coming apart at the seams a little bit.
Which you thought happened a couple of times in 2022 or even last year in 23 down in South Carolina, and then they'd find a way to pull out a win out of nowhere. So, you know what? Who knows? We're going to keep showing up on Saturdays. Hopefully it gets better.
You got to let the games play out. Like, you just have to. But right now, there's worrisome trends. And you just have to point them out, both in the season and I think when you stack these last 3 seasons together. It just makes you wonder, like, what is going on and how do you get this flipped? Like, that to me is the biggest question. How do you flip this back in a good direction? And that's the hard part to see because, Nick, again, I don't think there are clear answers for that. And to me, that's the most concerning part.
Billy Reed, R.I.P., he once said the South End is where bleakness merges with hopelessness. And I'm worried that this team, they're going to the South End, and it's just bleak and hopelessness. It feels rough right now. But what do they say? Did Batman say darkest before the dawn? I don't know. I really don't know what to do here. This is bad. It's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long drive home tomorrow. It sucks, and we're not having fun. But we've been here before. Hopefully it gets better. Yeah. Fingers crossed.